Hey guys, this is Rainwolf, and we are back from the week break we had from the New Year's with Yashahime episode 14. This is going to be a great one and a very pretty good one. Just a heads up to all, we are multi-streaming over on Twitch and our YouTube as well to see which one does better for us. Since when all this shenanigans with COVID and all this nonsense ends, we are planning to live stream events. We are working on towards getting better equipment, working with events so that we can do such promote them, promote ourselves, and help each other out. So let's get this started.
All right, hey guys, this is Kirito Silverheart here, and we're talking Princess Half Demon Yashahime, the one behind the forest fire.
All right, and this is Asuna Silverheart, your favorite podcast waifu.
This is Lyria, and it worked! Yay! Okay, here we go. Let's go.
First off, we are on the snow mountain with pretty much what looked from what we learned from the story, the most prettiest girl in the area, and has been kidnapped. She's escaped from her prison.
Most beautiful.
And guess who finds her?
That son of Riku.
So, and then it jumps straight into the opening, and I'm going to say right now, this was I liked the last opening, but this one was just beautiful. It just had the vibe of crap's about to go down.
I enjoyed the animation. I do kind of miss the old song, but it's not uncommon for animes to change up their openings and their songs.
I was gonna say I prefer the old song, but I like the new opening, like visuals.
And if anybody wants to know my opinion,
Really?
yeah. No, honestly, I really fell in love with Six Tone's New Era. I really fell in love with it. Now, that being said, would that song match up with these visuals? Hell no. But it just doesn't hit the same way New Era did for me. Like, I even sat, granted, this is the first time we're hearing it, but I sat here and listened to it multiple times, and it doesn't catch with me the way New Era did. So, as far as the song goes, I prefer New Era, but as far as the visuals, I'll definitely give it up to this one.
It's nice and everything, but I'm really loving this new one much more. But also, it kind of shows that the pace is about to really change on the way the story is told and what's to come. Because definitely in the first 10 seconds, give or take, where you have Shishomaru at first, and then you have these like faded images of each of the princesses, and then there's actions going behind them.
Yeah, it's been it was kind of accumulation of everything that's happened so far. So you definitely feel like that, we're getting to a point now. This isn't no more Demon of the Weeks, no more, beating around the bush. We're getting to the point of it.
Hardcore story.
We're going to actually find out a lot of things we've had questions about.
So after the opening...
Well, actually, I was going to say real quick, I think the thing that hit the biggest part for me during the opening is when we see Setsuna fall, when that cliff bridge collapses.
Yes.
She's falling and falling and falling, and who catches her?
Rin.
I know.
There's also one other thing now that you bring that up. It's also when Muraha goes Bashihime fully, and it's more than what we've seen in the past. And it looks like in the way she had the bead in her hand at the time as well.
And while we're discussing people and the changes and stuff to it, the end of it, or near the end of it, when we see Toa, and it's just that red energy flowing around her, just going up to the sky and hitting the sun. I was like, I think we're really going to see a breaking point for Toa at some point.
I think she's going to eventually learn more, and actually, as Setsuna has with her state as a half demon, but hers is sealed, she's going to come across her demonic state.
Yeah, things are about to get interesting.
I agree. So now we go in after the opening. We have the whole Muraha's all in her droopy state. We have a bounty. We haven't been turning in anything lately, huh? No, we haven't, because everything is dead. There's no heads for anything. She's just going crazy, ripping her hair, biting at her fire rat cloak.
Which, a little note for later, actually gets called out finally in this episode.
Yeah, they actually do.
She
does say, "My fire rat cloak." You underestimate it.
When we had the preview from the last episode, I didn't think about it at the time, but then later on in the weeks, I was like, "Wait a second, he's a fire user. That cloak."
It's like, she got this.
So, or whatever, all the shenanigans, it causes Toa to drop her phone, and it's actually still running. And then it screens over to the camera.
I think she had it turned off, because we actually discussed this. Like, Kirito and I actually had a conversation, because he was like, how does it still have battery? She probably had it turned off, and either when it fell out, or maybe shortly before it fell out, maybe she was fidgeting with it. She turned it on. I think that's why it still had a full battery. I was like, I don't think demon energy. If demon energy can charge a phone like that,
Possess now.
I need a demon. Here, hold my phone. So, but yeah, I think it was probably turned off. And they bring it up. They talk about it. They're like, hey, it's like she's like, I don't know why I still have it. I have no service. It's not like I'm gonna call anybody for backup.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a silly thing, which much like me, I always have my phone. Half the time I can't find it and then I panic. But you get attached to certain things and it's a useless piece of tech, but she's like has an odd emotional attachment to it.
Mhm.
One of those things.
And I find it funny during this whole scene, Susuna has her spear pointed towards it the whole time.
Oh, yeah, she was gonna
on the
mess it up.
self-facing camera.
She was gonna mess that thing up when it fell and it started making noises. She was like not having any of that.
Well, no, she turned on the camera and I can't remember. I couldn't tell if it was the front-facing or the back camera.
It was the back
But
camera because it had
was
all
the back camera?
the
Okay.
images you saw on it with it tilted was all just dirt.
Okay, so she's seeing through it,
Mhm.
and she's like, "What the hell is this demonic thing? Like, I will destroy it with fire."
So they go back into the conversation of the phone, and then Toba makes the comment, it's like things that you treasure or pretty much can't get rid of. And then she pulls out the copper foot from Grandpa.
The look they had on their face of absolute disgust was the best thing I'd ever seen. They were just like, what is that? Oh my god.
But I think
But
the
the
scene
foot
also,
helped them. She's not wrong.
yeah,
No.
yeah.
It helped them when
I-
they
It,
first came
it's
back.
been more
in that
practical than the
episode.
phone has
The
so
funny
far.
thing is,
First
I'm
episode when they
surprised she still has
returned,
it
when they
because
were
she did
Tokyo.
throw it at.
I don't know if it's like a boomerang or maybe it's just one of those things that it just
It's a
automatically
boomerang.
comes.
I'm gonna go with boomerang because
Boomerang foot.
there is
No.
way
I have a great
It just
explanation for
returns
this.
to you. It's one of those
the
weird.
Force.
No, I have a great explanation for this. Grandpa Flea.
He wasn't there. Or wait, then
No,
again, never mind.
But listen, the same.
He's always there, though.
You gotta think. Every time she dropped something like that, like the time she dropped the rouge and it landed like 20 feet away from
Yeah,
her,
but
he went running off to it and was just like, Mistress, you forgot something.
But Grandpa did that for his own accord too, because apparently
Yeah,
she tastes
but-
delicious when she puts that rouge on. So
Yeah, but I could still see him doing it for her in that regard too.
Yeah.
But I think another thing that this scene does is it starts to set up some foreshadowing for us.
Yeah.
With the fact that, she's overly attached to her cell phone, despite how useless she thinks it is being in the feudal era, not to, completely disregard the fact of she could take pictures so she could remember things. It has voice recording so she could, make notes about things if she needed to.
I was gonna say
It has
I
a flashlight
would totally
so she
use
could see
that
things.
to pull like one of those I am a powerful sorcerer, fear me. Like do it in a minute.
But the fact that she even says that, it's something that I just can't bring myself to let go of. Well, we kind of see that same thing playing out later with,
The theme continues. Yeah.
Tamino and Amora.
Yeah. So
So-
as all this is going down, they've talked about their treasured items and the whole thought of it. They walk into the hut, the demon hunter,
Giobei.
yeah, his hut, and Muraha bumps into the girl. I can't remember. I can't pronounce her name
Tamino.
because there we go.
It's Tamino.
Hamino. There we go. Until somebody else says it, I always fail at it. So she bumps in, then
Got
she
you
walks
covered,
right.
bro.
She just backs right back out. I'm so sorry, roundhouse.
What the hell's wrong? There's someone really, really pretty in there.
Yeah, there's some hot chick. Totally wrong house.
They were like, how could Jubei have a hot chick in his hut? And then Toa and Susuna walk back in after her. Then Jubei's like, just drop it. And then Takachigo's like, oh, we have a wonderful client from our lord. It's Riku.
Yeah. Now, can I bring up something I noticed real quick?
What's up?
During the scene that just before this, when they were talking about, the phone and all that other stuff and not collecting bounties, they actually ask Moroha about why she has so much debt.
But she
And
never
she says,
clarifies it
it's-
either.
well, she says it's all because of that master. And
Hmm.
she gives Riku a really weird look.
Some fierce side eye.
Like, she has that, like, familiar but confused look on her face when she walks into the hut and sees Riku, and they refer to him as, that lord and that master who's
Well,
been
she's
giving
met
them.
him before, though. That's the thing.
Right,
But she met him under the guise that he was a traveling pirate and that he had just gotten lost. So she is very much aware, I think. She's like, there's something off here. Wait a minute. Hold up. Like, he's supposed to be this traveling pirate, but then he's here and he said he'd never been here before. Like, that she knows there's something amiss. She's figuring it out.
Yeah, but I honestly think that there's a little bit more to Riku that we still haven't found out yet.
We don't know his true background, even though I still think he's the Beast King's son.
He is. I'm almost
That's
sold
that's
on that one.
possible.
I mean, they've
I
talked about
definitely
it.
think he is definitely either yokai or something.
Yeah.
Because basically my reasoning is because of the pearl.
Well, we
And-
know he's a demon, but just don't know what relation he has to anyone, but
Yeah.
despising the perils.
Yeah.
I mean,
So
it would almost be a nice twist if he wasn't the Beast King's son, because if maybe the Beast King had killed his parents and he's a demon, but he's angry about it or something. I'd almost think it'd be a nice twist because it almost feels like it's played out to the point where it's gonna be
Cliche.
Well, yeah, because there is that he could have been he's an orphan because his family, the perils destroyed his home or something.
Yeah, I mean, it could be something like that. Obviously, the Beast King has not made many friends, even of his own kind.
Or if he is Kiranmaru's son, the reason he hates the four perils is because he preferred the perils over his own son.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I could see it going
Either way.
or
Which
a
is,
completely different path.
any is fine. Well, I mean, there's a lot they can still do with it, even if he is.
So let's jump on over into the storytelling from Homura. She's explaining her background on the situation, her life.
She was the most beautiful girl in the village. She lived with her grandparents at the base of the mountain. When she turned 13, all of a sudden she started having all these suitors and wannabe husbands just dropping dowries and gifts and things all over their house,
It was
begging
so
for her handed
creepy
message.
too, like the hands reaching out to her. I was just like, oh no,
Yeah.
that poor child. It was the creepiest thing.
But she turned down every single one of them.
Because she didn't want to
And
leave.
finally, one night in the middle of the night, Homura shows up and basically just kidnaps her.
Yeah.
And takes her back to his mansion in the mountain, which is the only property in the entire mountain that doesn't have snow anywhere near around it.
Well,
It
if
is
you're a fire
eternal
user, it makes
spring.
sense.
Well, yeah, but it's an eternal spring.
So he kidnaps her, jumps in, and then the grandparents wake up. They see the flames on the door, and that's pretty much the done end of the story of her kidnapping.
Well,
then
other than
Ron
the
makes
fact-
a comment of jerk.
Yeah, other than the fact that she does explain that, she, while living with him, he began getting super, super jealous.
Yeah.
And
At first he was really nice and caring and loving, and then he just the shade starts hard. And he starts like killing the gardener and the cook. And I don't think the
And
cook
a delivery
died 'cause
guy.
he jumped in the lake, but just he started like setting everyone on fire. So
Yeah.
that's some intense jealousy right there.
It is.
But then he turns around and blames her. He was just
Oh,
like,
yeah,
you might
he
not
can
be
blame her. Yeah, he
realizing that you're doing it, but you are captivating their eye. You're the one drawing their attention. This is your fault. And he locks her up. I'm like, wow, you are one sick dude.
And luckily she had this. It's like she kind of expected something like this to probably happen because of what she had hidden in her belt.
It was a hairpin.
Yeah.
It was, and I was gonna say it's actually like it probably wouldn't be super uncommon for her to have that, but she probably also knew. She was like, because she picked that lock a little too easy.
Yeah.
She looked a little impressed with herself, but she also was like, I've been practicing.
How many of those other suitors actually jacked her in the middle of the night like that?
She's a professional. She's like, no, this isn't going down.
Grandma and Grandpa sitting in the back of the house, honey, make sure you keep this on you at all times. You never know when one of these crazy SOBs is going to kidnap you in the middle of the night. You got to break your way out. Here's a lock practice.
Little do we know, Grandma was like master rogue in her day. Yeah. Grandma's gonna teach you how to be an E, honey. Come on, let's go.
So she's escaping, and then it comes back to what we saw in the beginning where Riku finds her in the snow, pretty much close to passing out, and then actually does pass out. And
Yeah,
then she,
Riku brings her to GOB and saves her life.
yep, and then we are brought to where we are now. They discussed the mission for them. They were like, but she's worried about them. You're sending these 3 little girls to go deal with a mountain god.
These are no ordinary girls. These are half-demon princesses.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of like that little intro by Riku, though.
Yeah, he kind of puts them in play. He puts them on their pedestal because they really are not normal girls.
Yeah.
And they are the children. He could have gone even deeper into the story because most people do know the story, not just Shishamaru, but their father.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's like, I don't, I was going to say, I don't know about Lyria, but I would have liked to think as a little girl I was a demon princess. But,
I would, yes.
but,
I'm
in
right there with you.
reality.
As your live-in boyfriend, I'll refrain from any comment.
It's okay, Joel. It's okay. We know. It's okay.
Yes, see.
So after all this explanation to her, the worriness that she has for the girls, Takachigo and Kalala go out, fly them over to the mountain. Eventually it gets so cold that they're flying down. They land. Takachigo leaves. Satsuna sends Kalala back. It's just kind of hilarious to see. Even for the few moments they were off their back, of Kalala's back, her head is just covered, her back's covered in snow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a freaking blizzard. So it's understandable.
Muroha just wrapped in her.
Muroha was freezing to death. Muroha was so cold. I felt so bad for her. She was like, why is it so cold? Why is this happening to me? I've been a good person. Like, she was so unhappy.
So as they climb the rest of up the mountain on foot, they switch back over to Riku and Homura, and they're discussing, it's like, no matter where you hide, he will always come to find you. And then he makes the comment, it was like, I would never understand the love affairs of human beings.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So there's evidence number
75.
4 or 5 for me that
Yeah.
this guy is definitely not mortal.
He is he's
it was
totally
always
a demon.
like in the beginning, he gave so many vibes that it just told you that he was not human.
Yeah, we know. We just need to figure out what he is and stuff.
Then it jumps back over there, the gate. Then we see him walking across it. Then Muroha's like, charge!
Muroha Leroy Jenkins her way straight in there. And I legitimately, I was like, Leroy! Muroha.
Yeah.
That's what that was.
And this is
It
one
was
of those
pretty
moments.
comical.
This is one of those moments I wish Moroha didn't have as much of a mouth on her as she does.
Oh my
Oh,
god, she's
God.
mouthy.
Because
It's so
had
great,
she
though.
just busted in that door and immediately charged at him with weapon in hand,
Mm-hmm.
like unleashed, Crimson Dragon Wave or something
Yeah.
right from the get-go,
Mm-hmm.
I think this fight would have went a whole lot differently.
It would have, but it's just hilarious. And
She's learning. Maybe.
She's only technically 14.
Technically.
So with
She's learning. It took her dad how many centuries to figure it out?
Right. There we go.
She gets it honestly.
She does get it honest.
And it's just hilarious. It's even more funny because as they're going, and then he ends up just breathing fire at her, sends her flying. Maraha's like patting herself, but as she lands, the funny thing is, with Satsuna and Toa screaming, Maraha, they don't know about her robe, and then she screams, don't underestimate my fire rat robe.
And there's the confirmation we were talking about,
Mm-hmm.
which is important to know because we still need to know how she got that robe.
Yeah, very true, because we don't know if it was passed down, somebody
Gifted. It's been gifted to her somehow.
gifted by somebody that knew her father or something.
Yeah.
Then Toa and them are talking to Fire Mountain Demon. Then they're like, "Shut up!" They pull weapons. Then the beads start to activate in both of their eyes.
And this is when Hamura realizes he done messed up.
And he knows them. And
He's scared for his life because they're still alive, for one thing. Two, if the people that sent him to kill them originally finds out, he's dead by them as well.
Mm-hmm. And he says it, and he says it, and they hear him.
Mm-hmm.
And so now they know that he was the one to set the fire.
Yep.
He's
and
like,
then
I thought I killed you, and no. Mm-mm.
This is the point when we get the flashback, isn't it?
Yes, it is. And
Oh
on
my
that
god,
mountain,
that
it
was
is.
intense.
Oh, I don't know what to think about this scene.
I do, because I'm going to tell you now. So, and I told Kirito the same thing. I think, well, go ahead and explain the scene first, and then we'll go back to it.
Okay, so we're jumping into the scene where we have him, and then this female,
Hamura.
and then Lord Shishomaru. Lord Shishomaru is just standing there, and then he just walks away. In my opinion, for Shishomaru's side of it, there's a number of things that could be. One thing I was thinking of during this scene was, obviously, as they stated earlier in the beginning of the series, the rite of passage for demons, blah blah blah, that whole shenanigans. This might have been his test for them. Who knows? But we also, I think, this other female is a peril.
Well, so when we had the new opening, I saw this female demon, and I'm like, who the hell is this?
Yeah.
And they actually put her name out in this flashback. It's Beautiful Mystery Demon 0. And I'm like, okay, this chick has got to be I don't think she's a peril because we've already seen the 4 perils.
That's true.
I'm honestly wondering if she is
someone from Shishimaru's mother's family.
or
Because looking at her wardrobe more and the way she's dressed and thinking about it more, it kind of, okay, because I know some of us know and have seen out of the few scenes we've had of Shishimaru's mother.
Yeah, she does. She does have a resemblance. The hair, like what we could see, but I couldn't really see. It looked like her hair might have been a white,
Yeah,
like
It
his
was a
mother.
It was a white,
Yeah,
whitish
very
gray like
much
the moon.
like his mother. Yeah. So I mean, there's a possibility. What we were saying though about it, I feel like this was Shishomaru separating them. I feel like he did this intentionally to separate them because he needed to put the dream butterfly on Setsuna.
Yeah.
And the only way to do that, I feel like Toa at the time was the stronger of the two at that time.
Mhm.
And he chose Setsuna for whatever reason, maybe because she was the weaker, maybe because she favored their mother more. I feel like he chose her to put the butterfly on, so he knew he had to separate them to do that.
Well, I have a crack at that theory right there because the thing is, from the research I have done and what's been solidified here and there, the white pearl actually has the access of opening the portal from what information I have dug up. It's been kind of repeated in multiple places. So the only one that would be left behind would be Setsuna. So he couldn't really choose at that point because
but
if the portal opened, then
Yeah, but he gave them the pearl, didn't he?
well, we don't know.
So
and I'm
We-
hoping
that
we
part
find
we
that
don't-
I
out
feel like
next
he
week.
did. Like I feel
Yeah.
like he pre-planned this. This is
Because that one we don't know because there hasn't been any information on how they gathered or how they got the pearls for Setsuna and Toa. Then we see Toa get pissed.
Oh yeah. Oh.
I don't think we've never.
she's angry because
The
she knows.
accents around her eyes just get darker as well.
Yeah, she is extremely angry that she's been upset, but it's really the first time you see like legit true anger, I think, out of Toa.
Yes.
She's
I
been
blame her,
concerned,
though.
she's been pissed off, but like she is legitimately angry.
Well, you can't blame her because it's like this
No,
is the
no,
guy
it-
that's caused
Well,
all
and that's
this.
why, because she the guilt and the pain and everything that she's felt since that day is because of this guy.
Yep.
So, I mean,
And
it's
she was
totally
separated from her
understandable.
sister and who she
Mhm.
cares very dearly about because they were fairly close while they were in the forest.
Yeah.
So after the scene of Toa getting pissed and charging at him, goes right back over to Riku. He's looking over the water and Tamino. This is probably the only time we're going to see her again, so it's like the name does not reside in my head because of no importance. But
Little does Rain Wolf know, 3 episodes down the line, she's
It-
Riku's mistress, and we don't know what the hell's going on.
He's gonna be a main character.
They do have almost a sibling semblance to them.
They do. There is an odd thing there. That's very strange. Very strange.
so they're talking and that she wants to go back to the mountain. Then Riku is like, I can get Takachiko to take us. He flicks his earring and he's like, you called? And it's like he was returning anyway. But boy, it was freezing over there. Sorry, Takachiko, but could you make another trip there?
I love his reaction. He was like, "Are you kidding? Oh well, I guess it is for you."
Then it goes back to them fighting. You're seeing more of the sweat that's coming across his face, that he's the worry, the fear of the fight. They're going. I just really don't know. It's just a lot of action.
I
and
think
pissed off Toa.
I think the single best thing that we see during this combat sequence is the combined attack that Toa and Setsuna do.
Yes.
And that is the Azure Dragon Wave combined with the Cyclone Burst.
Yep.
If that attack had actually made contact, that would have been beast level, 5,000
Yeah.
of a freaking attack, especially being fueled that much by Toa's rage.
Yeah.
Like, one thing that we've kind of glanced over,
Well, demonic
I think,
energy kind of feeds off of that.
well, but another thing that we've glanced over is these rainbow pearls to begin with. They don't seem to just give power to anybody.
No.
They enhance the power of a demon or half demon in this case that's wielding it.
Mm-hmm.
So if, her Azure Dragon Wave, just as a general attack like we saw against Kyoki, was kind of a minuscule attack, with her being that enraged and channeling that much power and the pearl amplifying it, that should have wiped him out.
Oh, yeah. But with him being a stronger type demon than her, more than likely by the looks of it.
Mm-hmm.
And then, I find that they finally, and it sucks that he just shakes it off with just a huge fire blast. But it's about to hit Toa and Setsuna. Moroha tosses out a Crimson Dragon Wave and then
interrupts
screams
it.
over, snowball.
Moroha the snowman over there.
She was cute.
It was adorably hilarious. But again, Moroha being the punchline of the series so far.
So he's pretty much forming a spirit, in a way, a spirit bomb, but made out of flames.
I'm glad you called that out, because I was totally going to call it Shoginki Dama.
And then Takachiko, Riku, and Homura, they are not Homura, but the girl, Tamino, they show up. He stops his attack. Then she's screaming at him to stop this already. These girls have nothing to do with this. It's like, I don't care about that. Who the hell is that guy with you? And just the pointing of the finger, the facial expression he gets across his face.
And the fact that he didn't attack Riku, like he didn't remote incinerate him right then and there.
No. Well, one, because she's right next to him.
Yeah, that's the only reason I could see him not doing it.
Because he didn't give off the expression of knowing him.
Yeah, he did it to everyone else, and he was just like, he just didn't do it in that moment.
Well, because everybody else was not in range of the flames harming her as well as who he was attacking.
True. Not to mention it probably would have injured Takachiyo, who probably could have crashed and injured her at the same time. So
yeah,
if she's not getting burned, she's definitely falling. But in this moment, you see Homura just completely lose his ever-loving mind because she flat out says, "We're done." Like, she basically breaks up with him.
Even though they technically weren't.
Yeah, even though it was a one-sided relationship to begin with. But she was like, "This is over. We're done. I don't want to be with you. I never want to see you again." And he completely flips his mind.
He has like the most emo boy response to
He did.
I love you. And then he just
like, you're being swayed, come back to me.
Yeah, and he starts like setting everything on fire, and I'm like, oh my goodness.
But can we just also
play 2000s emo boy band music is what they needed.
Oh god.
Like, we need My Chemical Romance.
Yes.
And like some
Toa, whip out that MP3 player on your cell phone.
We need some music here, please.
But can we also just talk about how freaking savage Riku is in this moment, too?
Oh, yeah. He gives no cares.
Yeah, he gives absolutely no Fs whatsoever. He's like grabbing her by the hand. He is with a crap-eaten grin on his face. He's like, "Are you sure you don't want to be back with him?" And she's like, "Hell no, I don't want to be with him." And he is just fueling this fire, no pun intended.
And pretty much incinerates himself because he gets so hot.
Yeah.
And then Toa is just annoyed at this because she was not the one to be able to defeat him.
I think she wanted answers too. There were answers that Toa wanted that Toa's not going to get now because of that. Like she's, and Setsuna had to make her leave, all but make her leave. We need to go. We have to go. And she did not want to go. And you could tell it. She wanted those answers. She wanted those things and she wanted revenge.
And then, after the girls leave, goes up to Riku, the thoughts he has in his head. How utterly absurd. Nothing good comes from loving a human being. Not for the great dog demon, nor Shishomaru.
Yeah, so A, definitely shows that him and, let's just call it out, him and Ren had a thing going on.
This is also a 100% guarantee times 2.
Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. And then also talking about their father.
Yep.
But it also makes me wonder if maybe he wasn't spurned at some point by somebody.
Maybe, but there is a large faction of demons that always find.
Yeah, because there's the two large factions, the East and the West. Then you have all the everything.
To the human, yeah.
Then you have the demon hunters that are another factor. Then you got the demons that do fall in love with humans. Who knows? There's probably a demon he actually cared for that he fell in love with a human. Who knows?
It's hard to say.
That's possible. Either he fell in love with a human and was spurned, or he fell in love with a demon who fell in love with a human and was spurned.
Yeah.
That's a possibility.
So now it transitions over to the girls, Takachiyo, telling her that Takachiyo can fly you anywhere you want. And you're just like, no. And Takachiyo actually makes the comment, it's like, why are you the one offering? But really, it's no problem for me. So she chooses the walk, and they were like, hopefully you can live peacefully with your grandparents again. So she's returning home.
Yep. And now we also have Toa making a realization about obsessing over something.
Yep.
Which, again, like I said, the opening scene was foreshadowing the entire event. So now she comes to terms with the fact that I can finally just, not worry about carrying this damn cell phone around with me all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's pointless. Despite the fact that we've already listed out, it has a voice recorder, it has a video camera, it has a picture camera, it has this.
But she can't charge it unless demon energy can charge it. We talk.
Well, she does have that pack that we see in the transition between the opening to the actual.
Yep.
But how long does that last?
But then we also jump over to where Takahiko decides he needs to be chucked off the cliff because he's being a dick again.
The smack talk that he does to Moroha in this moment.
I laughed though. It was like, for a guy who looks like a Pokemon reject, he talks some mad smack. Like,
you need to bounce the bricks to him and chuck him off the mountain.
I'm sorry, that laugh, that just maniacal fu laugh that he has. It's I want it as a ringtone. I'm sorry.
Oh my gosh. And then Moroha pulls a duck face as he's walking away.
Mm-hmm. Once again, her hopes and dreams of paying off her immeasurable debt is shattered because they didn't walk away with a head.
I feel like Moroha's been playing Animal Crossing and she owes her soul to Tom Nook. Like, at this point, like, it's like, this is an extended game of Animal Crossing and you just can't get ahead. This is shady stuff, man.
So the three of them finish talking. Then it pans out to see Riku standing behind the hut with a smile on his face, and then it fades out. Or not even fades out, it just cuts out.
Well, and this, the thing that we're glancing over here is Setsuna looks over at Toa and says, "So are you okay now?" And she's like, "What are you talking about?" Like she's completely blowing off the fact that she turned into a raging
Very true.
Because of Homura. And even Setsuna is just like, I see how it is.
Yeah, she's like, fine. It's okay. And Riku's back there hiding in the shadows, lurking behind the house like the creeper he is.
Yeah, so it really makes me start to think that, all right, Toa does have a very rage-filled dark side. Setsuna recognizes it in her and is now very concerned. Riku recognizes it and he goes, "This is how I'm going to get them." Riku is gonna find a way to turn her rage against the others and herself.
And it wouldn't be a first time because it's happened in the past with Inuyasha
and Shishomaru.
So we have this beautiful closing. Not really too much to say about it.
I really enjoyed I enjoyed it.
I really like the ending. I do really like.
I like the song. I like the animation of it. I thought it was beautiful.
It gives a
beautiful
calming pace to the opening, pretty much telling us crap is about to go down, and then calming it out with the closing scene.
But I want to pose a question, because as we've discussed, from the beginning of the series, I'm the noob. I'm not too super familiar with the Inuyasha series. This is kind of my first major foray into it. But with as many similarities and differences as we've seen between Inuyasha and Yashahime, what do you guys, the three of you, what do you guys think about, now that we have multiple, the openings and the endings? How do you think they match up to what Inuyasha had?
I definitely prefer the Inuyasha openings and endings. Like, they were, I still listen to the Inuyasha opening and endings quite frequently. Like,
it may be just a nostalgia thing. It may be just
I'll have to get back to you on that one.
Okay.
But I'm with Lyria on this. I think there's just something about, because, over there's a huge series, so there was several different ones.
There were several Inuyasha openings and endings that just gave me that, like, chill on the back of my spine.
It totally suited the series. It totally suited Inuyasha at that moment. So it very much correlated with his personalities. I don't know which one would be my favorite. I'd have to sit down and think about that. I'd be about like Rain Wolf. I'd have to go through and like pinpoint each one of them, because I'm sure there's probably a couple I've forgotten.
I 100% know my favorite. It was Every Heart, which I think was the fourth.
Nice.
I think that was the fourth ending, but that was my favorite one. I love that song. It is beautiful. If you've not heard it, go listen. And there is a Japanese, a Korean, and an English version.
Very nice. Beautiful.
Yes.
Very nice.
Well, if you want, I know, Wolf, you said you need to kind of get back to on that question. How about once we get later towards the season, the series, we'll see if there's any other opening and closing changes that they decide to make, and we'll reapproach it maybe in our series wrap-up.
Yeah, that'd probably be the better time frame to do it. But I don't think they're going to do any more changes anytime soon, since they chose to change it at episode 14, and it's only going to be 24 episodes.
I think they normally change it to during the midway point is when they normally change
midway point
openings.
or a drastic change that's about to happen in the story.
Yeah, we can do the nice breakdown when we do our season wrap up, which we're gonna probably stream again.
Yep, we will.
We did that last time. We did a live stream of it.
Mm-hmm.
So, any last words for this episode before going into dang that preview?
Oh, that preview. No, I did that.
We can just rename the podcast. Damn that preview.
Yeah, pretty much. Because every time,
this is the second week in a
we
row.
talk about it, the hype, and I felt like we didn't get answers necessarily for this one. We got a few.
We got a little bit, but
we got a taste.
We got a taste.
Okay,
but
I'm sorry.
A buttload of more questions.
I'm sorry, but what episode have we actually gotten answers?
No, we get a little bit out of every one. Like that's what we're we're not knocking this, but we do get some answers out of each one, a thing here and there, and
okay, we might get a answer to something from like 6 episodes ago, but we always get 500 other questions.
We got the thing about Shoshomaru this one. Like we're
more questions.
There's more questions, but we know who was there.
One out of 20 questions answered every so many episodes.
Yeah, but every episode they add 20 more questions.
Well, if you didn't have to know everything right away.
I am sorry.
Like, I like suspense building as much as the next person, but damn.
at least get normally okay, you give us 20 questions, maybe the next 2 or 3 episodes we get 5 or 6 of those answered and more questions.
I feel like we'll get some answers and then we're gonna have a bunch more questions after this one too. But
I have a really feeling this one's gonna give us a number of answers and then a ton of more questions. But at least maybe 3 questions, maybe 4 questions answered.
2.5. All right, let's go into it.
So are we ready for the preview?
Let's do it.
Yeah. So as we're jumping into the preview, do you want to summarize this?
So next week, the episode is going to be called Farewell Under the Lunar Eclipse. And as stated in the opening lines of the preview, as the half-demon princesses were taking their first breaths, a great cataclysm was approaching. Lord Shishomaru and Inuyasha rose to prevent this tragedy. But... and let's go, guys. Let's talk about it, because at this point, it is question after question after scene of holy crap.
Game is afoot.
Because it jumps into those scenes where at first we get Kagome right there and she's looking up and Yasha's getting something in his hand. Then it jumps over to this meteor. Then Shishomaru just standing there. And then you see Shishomaru putting his fingers through Inuyasha's skull.
Well, hold on. So here's a question. So because one of the things that we see before that is Kirin putting on his mask with the line that says, "Who woke me?"
So that explains the scene we saw him the last time, why he looked so tired on that ship.
Yeah, so I'm thinking that, obviously this episode is going to be a flashback because they're talking about things that happened when the girls were freshly born. But yeah, so the question is who the hell raised Kirin Maru? Why is he now coming into the picture? Is he coming into the picture because of this cataclysm? Is the cataclysm happening because he was woke up? And was that Shishomaru's hand or was that Kirin Maru's hand that we saw attack Inuyasha?
But also...
and the reason I'm asking is because the way that this preview is edited,
yeah,
you see Kirin Maru come rushing at towards the screen, and then all of a sudden you see the hand go right into his forehead.
Yeah.
So it makes me wonder if that was whose hand it was.
And there's also, with the words that we get here, Lord Shishomaru and Inuyasha rose to prevent this tragedy. So that even shows more that even a lot of us knew at the end of the original series, their strife was over.
Yeah. And then it also raises another question for me, too, because if we think back to the Tosame episode where they were doing the mind probe and the dreams,
yeah,
we saw Shishomaru standing with Kirin Maru.
Yeah, and then we see him again.
When Inuyasha and Kagome looked like they were fighting for their lives.
Yep.
So if Inuyasha and Shishomaru were the ones that were rising up to prevent this cataclysm, was Shishomaru the one that woke Kirin Maru? And are they partnering up?
That hand is going to be Shishomaru's because Karimaru has a hand guard.
But was he attacking him or was he looking for something like a pearl?
And because if you skim through it a little bit and be close about it, Karimaru has wrist guards or whatever you want to call them, or gauntlets he's wearing. But when you see the hand and look down to the wrist when it's coming towards him, there's nothing there. And it's a white robe. So the other person that could be is Shishomaru.
Interesting.
But then it flips to this moment of Kagome after the fingers go through Inuyasha's forehead, but there's a white light. So obviously he's not being killed. It's like something's being pulled out of him or something. or he's being sealed or something.
There's
Yeah.
something going on, yeah.
Because you see the expression on Kagome's face when after that little scene, it's worry, but not like, it's also confusion. Obviously, if his finger just went through Inuyasha's forehead and getting killed, she wouldn't be just standing there. She'd be running towards him.
That's true.
So-
Okay, so in our next scene for this,
It's
we have
Riku.
a voiceover. Yeah, we have a voiceover talking about the heirloom from Inuyasha's mother that they wanted to present their child if they had had a daughter.
Yep.
We already know from watching the Totsume episode that they're referring to the clam that has
Yep.
the rouge. That was a gift to Moroha.
Mhm.
Here's a question. Number one, who the hell is that creature that Riku is talking to?
And why does
Riku give him the clam?
I'm wondering that as well. Because in the way this demon looks, he's a demon that's been around for a while. He's not just some typical demon.
He looks almost sage-ish.
Yeah.
Like almost like an elder for a demon tribe or something.
Yeah. And there's a possibility. The vibe he kind of gives off right now with the image that we're getting, even though he's involved with Riku at the moment, I think he's neutral. He might be a neutral party.
Possible.
Because most dark sages, as we've seen before, are really not that pretty.
Yeah.
Then that changes over to Shishomaru and to Jokin.
They're in the forest looking at the babies.
Yep.
And this is the scene that I know for some people, like especially Lyria here, is going to be a little rough, in my opinion.
But
if the revelation is actually given in this episode
yeah,
fully, like flat out, point blank, here's the statement. We're saying it out loud. Shishomaru and Rin were a couple, and they are officially the parents of Toa and Setsuna. We've already assumed it. They've pretty much hinted at it ever since the Trikio thing.
But to just go out and just say it, because we've already know it is what it is.
But I don't know if it's there for a split second. It's not there long. But when it transitions over to Shomaru after the baby versions of Toa and Setsuna laying there, and then it transitions over to Shishomaru's face.
Yeah, he turns around, he looks up at the meteor.
Well, not even that. It's just that expression you see when it first transitions to his face. Just him. It's a look of, it's not his normal blank stare.
Oh yeah, it's definitely a look
It's
of
not his
determination.
resting bitch face. It is not Shishomaru's resting face.
No, it's definitely a look of plotting and determination.
Yeah.
And
But
there's
it's
care
as
like for his
there's
children.
concern, yeah.
Yeah, and
there's
again,
concern.
as it's edited in the preview, which we know how previews can edit things to make them seem one way or another, but he's looking at the children, he turns and looks up in the sky at the meteor, and then it does the zoom in.
Yep.
So his face as it pans in the preview is the look of, what the hell am I going to do now? And then as it zooms in, he goes, I mean, in my opinion, as he turns around, it's the look of, this is going to have to happen. What do I do about it? And, you know, that concern and that plotting. But then as it changes the angle and it's just the zoom in on his face, it's the look of, I know what to do. This is going to go down.
Yep.
This is what has to happen.
Mm-hmm. Then it changes over to Rin. She has tears in her eyes, and she's saying, Lord Shimuro, I have faith in you. Closes her eyes,
and
tear goes down her face.
And I'm sorry, but I honestly am starting to believe that this is a scene where we find out that Rin is dying from childbirth.
And the way the expressions that she gave and the way she was laying there is a very big possibility.
Yeah, I honestly think that this is she's dying from childbirth thing. And we know that the line, Lord Shishomaru, I have faith in you, is from Rin because that audio and that animation sync up perfectly.
Yep. And that is it that we have for this preview, this episode. I think we should just close it there. And wait till next week, see where things go. I'm really excited, definitely to have more story told.
Yeah, I think we have enough speculation and assumptions and wonderings at this point to warrant that.
So thank you everyone that has come to watch, left a like on the stream on either side from our Twitch or our YouTube. As a reminder, for any of that have just joined us, remember this channel was for convention coverage, but since with this pandemic, we have started to do podcast gameplay videos from our streams as well, just to keep things flowing, keep us attentive. We love to see you. Until next time, I'm Rainwolf.
I'm Kirito Silverheart.
I'm Austin the Silverheart.
And this is Lyria.
Bye.